You got your deck, you got your budget, now it's time to make Crystal Beast as competitive as possible without breaking the bank. Okay, so now let's take you through this entire profile. We've tried to keep this as budget as possible. I will show you upgrades at the end, but this includes the main deck, the extra deck, and the side deck, all within the tidy budget that I have presented with you guys. I'll also show you combos at the end so you know the ins and outs of everything this deck can do at the basic level, and of course what all of the upgrades will provide. With all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. So the first lot of cards I'm going to show you are all included in the structure deck. So you're going with 2 Rainbow Dragon, triple Crystal Beast, the Rainbow Dragon, triple Sapphire Pegasus. So these are like your main core cards. Your Pegasus you're going to loop like 3 or 4 times in one turn. It's absolutely crazy. Annoyingly, it is when this card is summoned, but it does give you that ability, as long as it is the last thing to happen, to start placing Crystal Beast monsters from your hand or deck, or even your graveyard into your spell and trap zone, so it lets you regain from graveyard on top of that. You then play 1 of each of the others, so the Cobalt Eagle, the Amber Mammoth, the Topaz Tiger, the Ruby Carbuncle, which again is so incredibly powerful right now in this deck, the 1 Tortoise, and the 1 Cat. So again, all of these come in the structure deck. You only really want to be playing 1s of these. You can bump some of the 4s up, but ideally Pegasus is going to be doing the job for you. The fact that it can recur from grave does everything you need. Then of course we've got, thank you, triple Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring alongside double Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion, because, you know, you want to try and compete with the meta as best as possible, so they gave us the best hand trap around. And of course, well, I wouldn't say the second best, but a very decent card that will help you protect against DD Crows, Call by the Greys, and of course be able to try and counteract tier elements. So it gives you the balance of both defensive and offensive hand trap maneuvers. So that's it for the monster lineup. Again, all of this comes within the structure deck. I will show you what doesn't come within the structure deck at the end. It will surprise you how very little it is. We've then got triple of the brand new card, Rainbow Bridge of the Heart. This card is absolutely awesome. So during your main phase, you get to normal summon 1 Crystal Beast monster in addition to your normal summon or set. You can only gain this effect once per turn. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. During your main phase, you can destroy 1 Crystal Beast card you control or in your hand, and if you do, you get to add a crystal, spell, or trap from your deck to the hand. If a Crystal Beast card or cards is placed into your spell and trap zone, even during the damage step, you target 1 card your opponent controls and return both that card and this card to the hand. So, it can get you to Crystal Bonds, Crystal Ultimates, absolutely the core cards you need. Speaking of which, we are playing triple Crystal Bond. So this one is an older card, but it's so good for the deck. Like, all it needed was the rest of the deck to catch up to the level of this card. You add a Crystal Beast monster from your deck to the hand, and place 1 Crystal Beast monster with a different name from your deck face out into your spell and trap zone as a continuous spell. Sadly, you can only activate 1 Crystal Bond per turn, but just being able to go, cool, it's a rotor and a setup for the spell and trap zone is absolutely mad. We've then got 2 Awakening of the Crystal Ultimates. It's a shame this didn't come as a foil, but hopefully in the new Crystal, I think it's like Revenge of the Crystals, which comes out in November, we do get an upgrade for this. So here's a quick play. You get to reveal 1 Ultimate Crystal monster in your hand, then activate 1 of these effects. If you control an Ultimate Crystal monster, you can activate 1 or 2 of these effects in sequence instead, and you do not have to reveal a monster. So basically, if you control Rainbow Dragon, you're good to rock and roll because it's always treated as an Ultimate Crystal Beast. Take 1 Rainbow Bridge card or 1 Rainbow Refraction from your deck and either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. Special summon 1 Crystal Beast monster from your hand, deck, or spell and trap zone. You can only activate 1 of these effects. Only activate 1 Awakening of the Crystal Ultimates once per turn. So the idea is, it's either going to get you to your bridge, which your bridge pretty much gets you to either of these 2, or it's going to be able to set up pretty much both effects, because you are going to be able to get your Ultimate Crystal Beast on with the greatest of ease. Dual Rainbow Bridge, this basically lets you say, add 1 crystal spell or trap from your deck to the hand. So again, it gives you that ability to add any of the trap cards, your Mirage, your Concave, your Bonds, even the Heart, and it just lets you kind of go everywhere you need to. Sorry, not the Heart, I thought it was Crystal Heart, but it's not. But you can pretty much search out your Bonds, which will ultimately get you everywhere you need to go. 2 Foolish Barrel of Goods. This is pretty much for the new trap card that we got in the Megatins, the Rainbow Bridge of Salvation, because by sending this card to the graveyard, you get to banish it from the graveyard to add a Crystal Beast monster and 1 field spell from your deck to the hand. It lets you add any field spell, so it's like an additional form of Rotor. Another card that I haven't been able to fit in yet, I've tried to keep the deck as low as I could, but I got to 45 cards, is the Aegis. So this one is less so for its on-field effect, but more so for its graveyard effect. Is if a Crystal Beast... you get to banish... that. Let's try that again. If a Crystal Beast card or cards is placed into your spell and trap zone while this card is in your graveyard, even during the damage step, you can banish this card, especially when a Crystal Beast monster card from the spell and trap zone. You can only use this effect once per turn. So again, it's another target to send off a Foolish Barrel of Goods. The last 2 spells we play is 1 Ancient City Rainbow Ruins. This can probably be taken out, but because we are not putting Mystic Mine into the main deck, because it is an incredibly expensive card right now, it's still kind of a cool option to search you out. So rather than searching out your Necro Valley, you can search out your Rainbow Ruins. This one just gives you a lot of plays during your opponent's turn, during your turn, draw cards, consistency, everything you need. And then we've got the 1 Crystal Beacon. So you get to special summon 1 Crystal Beast monster from your deck. You must have 2 or more Crystal Beast cards in your spell and trap zone to activate and to resolve this effect. Very, very easy to do that. And guess what card you're summoning from the deck? That's right, Ruby Carbuncle, which will then allow you to summon the 2 monsters you have in your spell and trap zone to the field. Broken. And then for the traps, we are playing 2 Crystal Concave. So once per turn, if a face-up Crystal Beast monster or monsters you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon 1 Crystal Beast monster from your deck. You can send this face-up card from the field to the graveyard to then target a Crystal Beast card you control and 1 card on the field, return them to the hand. You cannot activate these effects in the same chain. So it's once per turn per copy. So if you have both copies, you're good to rock and roll, which is why some people play 3. I'm trying it out at 2 to see if I can kind of get the deck numbers down. And then the last one is the brand new Miracle. So it's a counter trap that when a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated, destroy 1 Crystal Beast card you control. And if you do, negate that activation. And if you do that, destroy that card. If a Crystal Beast monster or monsters is placed into your spell and trap zone while this card is in the graveyard, even during the damage step, you get to banish this card, place 1 Crystal Beast monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard face up into your spell and trap zone as a continuous spell. You can only use this effect once per turn. So again, I can understand why people are playing multiples, but for me personally, I've kind of decided to go with a 2 and a 1, but I might change that back quite easily once I evaluate the deck a little bit more. Okay, so now we're going to go over the main deck cards that are not in the structure and the price you're going to need to add to the deck. So for the personal reasons that we're not using Appaloosa in this version, as it is a £30 upgrade, we have gone with the Gamma engine alongside a Lambda in the extra deck, which you'll see later on. So the entire package, including a Mega and a Lambda, could possibly be purchased for about £10 because you can get all of these in res, and a lot of people will have the drivers and the rare Gammas from Toon. Chaos, I believe it was, running around. Then you've got the field spell. So the additional field spell you play is Necro Valley, just because it's incredibly powerful against the current format. Like, it does so well against tier elements, which are pretty much the untouched survivors of the ban list. This one currently sits at about £6.50 for a common. It did drop down in price after the ban list. The other alternative, which I'll show you later on, is of course Mystic Mine, but rather than going down in price, it rocketed in value post the ban list. So Necro Valley is now your cheaper option, but it's not that bad because once you've built your board, you activate Necro Valley. Yes, it does stop you getting to your big boss monster, but like I said, you do it at the end of your combo, and then you're good to go. The other spell is, of course, Called by the Grave. These have been printed in a mass. You should be able to pick up a common well below £1, but we've kind of valued it at £1 in this current valuation just because that's what the average eBay price was going for. We've then got the one Rainbow Bridge of Salvation. Now again, this came out in the Mega Tins, incredibly cheap and easy to pick up. It is about £1 from the Mega Tins. It might start to creep up post these structure decks, and it gets better in the future, but for now it's really, really good. The idea is, like I've explained before, is you activate Foolish Burial of Goods, send this to the graveyard, banish it from the graveyard, search yourself out a field spell. In the future it will be the Dark Crystal Beast field spell, but for now it can be Necro Valley, and you also get to add, I believe it was an ultimate Crystal Beast as well. Crystal Beast monster in general. The last card is just a spicy little tech that you can swap out if you go down the Synchro Engine route, and that is the Gigantis. Now, shout out to Little Nixie, who has done a combo on YouTube. I'll put the link to the description of that below. I'll also be showing you the combo using this budget deck, but you use Gigants as a additional extender, which allows you to get into like Abyss Dweller and other additional cards for the engine as well. Okay, so now let's move on to the extra deck. Let's start off with the Ultimate Crystal Rainbow Dragon Overdrive. This card is an absolute colossus for the deck, and it is not as hard as first feared to make. So, it requires 1 Ultimate Crystal monster plus 7 Crystal Beast monsters. Must be special summoned from your extra deck. During a duel, you special summoned an Ultimate Crystal monster by banishing the above monsters from your field and or graveyard. While 7 or more of your Crystal Beast monsters with different names are banished, this card gains 7,000 attack. Its base stat is 4,000. It's an 11,000 beat stick. If this card has not battled this turn, quick effect, you contribute this card, shuffle as many cards on the field as possible into the deck. And if you do, special summon any number of your banished Crystal Beast monsters. So technically what you do is that you could Dark Ruler your opponent, make this after going through combo, use this effect, shuffle everything back into the deck. Everyone starts from ground zero, but you would already have your banished Crystal Beast, so they will come back, and then you can start doing Link plays, you can start doing XYZ plays, and you pretty much control the game from that point on. We've then got the one Rainbow Overdrive Dragon. Now, it's a shame that its requirements are so strict. So it requires 7 Crystal Beast monsters. It is always treated as an Ultimate Crystal card. Must be either fusion summoned or special summoned by tributing 1 level 10 Ultimate Crystal monster. Very easy to do that. However, once per turn, you can banish 1 Crystal Beast monster from your graveyard. This card gains attack equal to that banished monster's attack until the end of this turn. Quick effect, you contribute this fusion summon card, shuffle all cards on the field into the deck. Really? Why did it have to say fusion summon card? Like, who is actually going to hard fuse this card now with the new stuff? Like, it's such a good step up card because it is really, really easy to get Rainbow Dragon onto the board right now, and I'll show that in the combo. But it's like, surely you could have had special summon this card, like use this effect on this special summoned card, and then go, but you can't use it for the rest of the duel. Anyway, moving into the generic cards. So start off with the Synchro. We do play the 1 Omega because we are playing, of course, the Gamma package. It just gives you that additional advantage that should your opponent foolishly Gamma you, not foolishly try to ash one of your spell cards, you just go Gamma, Omega, rip one from the hand. Straight away, your opponent is playing with 2 less cards, and it just gives you so much advantage. It's £1 as a gold common, so it should be very, very easy to pick up. Alongside that, we do play the 1 Psyframe Lord Lambda. Now, this is purely because Lambda, pretty much in the Gamma package, you can pick up the Gamma package plus these 2 for like £10 total. And then what Lambda is it's your alternative to an Appaloosa. So you're paying £10 for a hand trap and a Lambda interruption rather than £30 for an Appaloosa. But if you have Appaloosa, obviously straight in for this one. We've then got IP Masquerena. So this is the most expensive card in the extra deck. It sits at currently £10 a copy. What? But it is crazy good. Like, when you had to make a sacrifice for the extra deck, this was the best one to do. It's very easy to make, and then you're basically being able to build into an interruption in the form of Nightmare Unicorn or Phoenix. Of course, if you have Appaloosa, you're then upgrading it into that, and it does give you a bit more defense. And if you wanted to play Underworld of the Goddess, which I'll show you later on, you could do. The most important link to that we have is Cross Sheet. The reason this is so important is because you'll put so many of your crystal materials into the graveyard, then all you need to do is special summon out Rainbow Dragon, tribute it off for the Overdrive, and then that will then trigger Cross Sheet to summon back like your Ruby Carbuncle. Ruby Carbuncle will then trigger to get the 2 from your extra your spell trap zone onto the board, and then that unlocks even more plays. The second most expensive monster is, of course, Cherubini. This card is currently sitting at £6.50 a copy, but the reason it is so important for this deck is because you can make it with your tortoise and your cat, or your carbuncle and your cat, and then it will send the tortoise or the cat, the missing level 3 that you need from your deck, to the graveyard, and then it can just be used as link fodder to get into something like Cross Sheep or Lambda. Moving on to the expertise, we go with the best generic rank 4 right now, and that is Abyss Dweller. Being able to shut off your opponent's graveyard is incredibly important and incredibly powerful. It currently sits at about £1 to £1.50, and to me, if you don't own a copy of Dweller, it's definitely a card you need to be picking up, because like I said, it's just so good against the current meta. Like, it doesn't really affect you that much, which is why you play Necro Valley. The only thing that Necro Valley hurts is getting you into your big guy, but once you get into one of it, you should be winning the duel from that point on anyway. We've then got the one redoer, so this can actually help trigger your Lambda. So if you don't already have a Gamma and your opponent didn't have a Nibiru or anything, you can redoer, trigger Lambda, and then you've added a Gamma. So even if they Dark Ruler you, you still have the ability to Gamma your opponent. You'll still have an 11k boss monster that can shuffle the field, and then you'll have a redoer that will be able to steal from the top of your opponent's deck, either draw or bounce, and you'll also have an Abyss Dweller. We've then got the one Gallant Granite, so this is purely as an extender, so I'll show you the alternative options when you can look into stuff like King of the Feral Imps, but for right now, shout out to Super Nixie on YouTube who did a combo involving this. This just gives you a free extender that helps you get into Abyss Dweller and extend your plays a little bit further as well, which you'll see in the combo shortly. Then got one Tornado Dragon, so literally you can pick up like Gallant Granite, a Tornado Dragon, and a Bagooska for like a combined £1. It's incredibly powerful. So this is just if you get hand trapped to death, you can sit on a Bagooska and it can slow down the meta. Tornado Dragon is to deal with any floodgates, but again, if you're upgrading your deck and you're like, you know what, I want to go the King of the Feral Imp route, I want to go the Savage route, and I want to go Appaloosa, then you've got 1, 2, 3 to take out and swap in. And the last card, incredibly important and powerful, is the Daguerres. So the reason Daguerres is so good is because, again, you'll use this effect to detach 2 materials to summon back a Pegasus from the graveyard, which will trigger the Pegasus to set up your spell and trap zone. And then by setting up your spell and trap zone going forward, that's where Carbuncle comes into play. That's where all of your other cards come into play. Start bringing them forward, and you just get endless amounts of material in order to get into your big boss guy right there. So that's it for the extra deck. I'm now going to show you the side deck, which can be included within the budget, and then I will show you the alternative options leading into the combos. So now that we've done the extra deck, where the majority or the remainder of your money is going to come is going to be the side deck. So side deck is incredibly important. As many have said before, you play 2 out of 3 games more times than not using your side decks. You need to make it as powerful and as consistent as possible. So, what we've invested is about 50p on a Dino Rest and the Prankertops. This can be your 3rd copy of Nibiru, the Primal Being, if you want to, but because of the Megatins, thankfully, you can get these for about £3 a copy. We kind of gone with 2 because we were able to pick up 2 for a £5. Like I said, you can pick these up off of Tier 0 games and then use your discount code as well to make them a little bit cheaper. For the spells, the structure deck comes with the Cosmic Cyclone, so you don't need to add any additional cost to that. And then, of course, we've got triple Dark Ruler No More. And again, thanks to the Megatins, you can pick up a playset for about £5 to £6, so definitely worth the investment. Yes, it will stop your big guy from going for the OTK push, but it is the best way to kind of turn off a multi-negate board and then be able to swing in for clearing off the board and then control it with the IP route, plus your Masquerena, plus your Lambda plays as well. Then we've gone with 3 Forbidden Chalice, so this can obviously combo off with the Dark Ruler. So these are like, you can get like a playset for a £5, maybe even a playset for like £4 if you find the right place, because it's just had a recent super OTS print. It's got plenty of common prints as well, so it has dropped down in value very, very nicely. Very powerful card as well. It's kind of like your pseudo Imperm and your pseudo Forbidden Droplets. It does work out incredibly well because of that quick play effect as well. It means that if your opponent is going to be using their cards or trying to attempt to use their cards, you can catch them off guard with a Forbidden Chalice alongside the Gamma package as well. And then the final card is Triple Dimensional Barriers. So again, these are in here because they've been printed in the past, I believe, 2 structure decks. You can get a playset for about £1.50, which makes them about 50p each. It is very, very good because if you're able to kind of control the board and break a board under Dark Ruler, then activate your D barrier during your opponent's turn, they're not going to be able to rebuild, and then you just smash in for 11,000 the next turn with your boss monster. Off the top of that as well, any kind of decks that are going to start showing themselves in the format, whether it be fusion based, XYZ based, synchro based, you'll be able to deal with it with a D barrier, whether you have it set and then lock out your opponent during their turn, or whether you have it set and have to save it during your turn for when they try to play with their Havness and Tier Elements during your turn as well. So it gives you a very nice counterbalance. These aren't absolute staples. The side decks is completely adaptable to the budget you have available, plus your local environment. So if you're expecting loads of Tier Elements, you can try to adapt these and change these up. But I feel that these are the best kind of staple baseline options that you can get within your budget and still do incredibly well with on top of that. So that's it for the entire main deck and extra deck and side deck. Before I get onto the combos, I'm just going to take you through some alternative engines that if you are looking to invest huge amounts of money or put an additional couple of pound into the deck or dollars into the deck, what could you possibly look for? So we'll go with the cheapest upgrade you can put in. So you can put in like a Pit Knight and a Underworld Goddess. These are pretty much just specific or tech options. Now the idea is to deal with towers in the meta, and then this is just an additional link to that can be very, very good when you trigger IP Masquerena off it, because that will then allow you to trigger IP Masquerena, chain the effect of Pit Knight to negate a monster effect on the field and reduce it to 0. So it can be a very, very cool tech that you can add in if you wish. Where the money starts coming into play is when you're looking to swap out or add Mystic Mine to your deck. It went from a £4.50 card before the banners because everyone was fearful it was going to get banned, rocketing to about £20 a copy. So it is a heavy investment, but if you've already got one lying around, the best thing about Mystic Mine is the same combo that will get you Necro Valley can also get you Mystic Mine, which allows you to shut your opponent's board down and then build from that point on. To kind of go back to homage to the GX era, one of the engines you can upgrade into is the Neos Fusion with Elemental Neos and Rainbow Neos. This is purely more of a nostalgia upgrade because Neos Fusion is about £5 a copy. You can pick up the rest of these pretty cheaply, so you probably get the entire engine for £15, around about $15 to $17 because the pound and dollar is near enough equal right now. But it is just a very cool go second option that helps you shuffle your opponent's graveyard, field, or I believe it's the hand, back into the deck. So it gives you a nice kind of board clear on top of what you already have anyway. Then we move on to a Synchro package. So the Synchro package all comes from this beauty right here, which is King of the Feral Imps and the Reptilian Coatl. So the way this works, and I'll show you the combo after this as well, but the idea is that rather than going to Gallant Granite to get your Gigants, you go to King of the Feral Imp to get your coat. You summon out the coat because you'll have King of the Feral Imps on the board, and it is a level 4 tuner, which allows you to sync with another level 4 to give you a Savage. Savage is a £25 upgrade, and then you also have Dawn Dragster. So again, this entire engine here can be upgraded or added for £25. So you can see how we're kind of increasing the values of additional upgrades. One little note to mention for all of these is Appaloosa. Appaloosa is an alternative option where you'd probably take out your Lambda, you would take out the Gamma package, and you'd go for her instead. But she is currently sitting at £30 a copy, which is a big jump and a big addition to your budget. However, if you already have her, again, I'll show you how she's utilised in the higher valued combos at the end. But if you do have her, then she is a card that will definitely be going into the extra deck. The final spicy engine we have looked into is the Utopic Draco Future. Again, this entire engine plus the King of the Feral Imps or any generic rank 4 XYZs in the form of Gallant Granite is about a £25 to a £30 addition, because when you're buying this, you can pretty much get these cards for free. So the way this engine works is that you use any rank 4, get it to the graveyard like Gallant Granite, you then use Gargoyle Magician, use his effect to bring it back. Because they're both rank 4s with no numbers involved, you can go straight into Utopic Future and then go straight into Utopic Draco Future, and you've got yourself a monster negate on the board. So it's kind of like an alternative to Savage. So if you're like, I don't like Synchros, or I don't want to get Savage, or I already have this, then this is another alternative option for you to get in order to kind of push it that extra level. So that's pretty much it for all of the alternative engines. As you can kind of see, we went from about a 25 or like a £3 addition plus Mystic Mind is now an additional £20, £15, £25, £25, and then £30 with Appaloosa. So you can see how you can step it up bit by bit. Now let's get into those combos, and I'll show you how to utilize the deck we have already And I'll also show you how to utilize the engine cards that I'm showing you here. Okay, now for the insane 2-card combo that you will use in all of your Crystal Beast variants, it will just adapt the end board. You start off with Crystal Bonds and of course the Rainbow Bridge of the Heart. Now either of these can of course be Rainbow Bridge, because that will then give you the ability to get to either of these without harm. You then activate the Crystal Bond. You'll use this effect to search yourself out a Sapphire Pegasus, and you will place one of your level 4s, either Eagle, Mammoth or Tiger, into the spell and trap zone. You'll then activate the Heart. You could use the additional normal if you want to bring down the Pegasus. Trigger the effect of Pegasus in order to put one into your spell and trap zone, and this one will be another copy of Pegasus. You'll then use the effect of Heart to destroy the Crystal Beast Sapphire Pegasus and search you out the beacon, triggering the Pegasus effect to put it into the spell and trap zone. Activate Beacon to special summon out Ruby Carbuncle. This will then trigger to summon out as many of your Crystal Beasts as possible, which in turn will trigger both the Pegasus effect. Effect number 1 will put your Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon into the spell and trap zone, and the second one will put in another level 4, whether it be Tiger or Eagle. At this point you want to use the Crystal Beast to banish itself in order to search yourself out a Rainbow Dragon and special summon out one of the level 3s, either Cat or Tortoise. We're then going to use the Carbuncle plus the Tortoise, and we're going to go into a Cherubini. We're going to use Cherubini's effect to send the missing level 3 from the deck to the graveyard. That's not yet done, so what we're going to do here is we're going to overlay both the Mammoth and the Pegasus into our Daguerres. We're then going to use Daguerres' effect, detaching both materials to revive a Pegasus, triggering Pegasus' effect again to put a Cobalt Eagle into the spell and trap zone. We are still not done. Do not go anywhere. We're going to overlay both of these and go into Gallant Granite. This is where the combo will adapt, so this will be our reset point for the remainder of them to save a bit of time. You're then going to use the Gallant Granite effect. You're going to search yourself out a Gigant's. This is going to give you a free extender later on in the combo. You then use your Gallant Granite and of course your Cherubini, and you're going to go into a Cross Sheep. At this point, because you have 7 Crystal Beasts with different names on the field and or in the graveyard, so just going to prove that now. 5 there in the graveyard: Mammoth, Pegasus, Cat, Tortoise, Carbuncle, Tiger and Eagle. You're then able to summon out Rainbow Dragon. You then be able to tribute this off in order to special summon out your Overdrive Dragon, and because it is a zone that your Cross Sheep points to, you'll be able to trigger the effect of Cross Sheep to summon back Carbuncle. Carbuncle's effect will then trigger to summon out both the Topaz Tiger and of course summon out the Cobalt Eagle. Now at this point, if you do have access to Appaloosa, that is where you're going to start linking them off into. But because we don't have access to Appaloosa, we're actually going to start linking these into a very different way. So we're going to link the Cross Sheep and the Daguerres into our Lambda. So this is just our general protection from Nibiru. Well, a little bit late for that, but you still have plays to make. Even if it does happen, it's not the end of the world. You will then get the ability to start making some rank 4 plays, to be making additional link plays, which is exactly what we want to do. So that's not going to be an issue at all. So what you need to do is you do need to end up getting these into the graveyard, which is very, very important, which is why you kind of want to save the Gigantic. Okay, so then this is where the Gigantics comes into play, and you can even keep your Rainbow Overdrive Dragon on the board. Obviously, in the other version of the combo, you're going to go into an Appaloosa, so you use up more materials. But what you want to do here is you want to use 2 Crystal Beasts in order to get you into your IP Masquerena. And then you're going to use the ability of Gigantics to summon itself down by banishing your Gallant Granite. And then you get to overlay the Topaz Tiger plus the Gallant Granite and go into Abyss Dweller. Or Time Thief Redo it if you want to trigger the Lambda. Obviously, that will be dependent on if you've opened up Gamma or not. You're then going to banish 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and a Rainbow Dragon. And get rid of all of these. And you can also summon out your big boss monster. So now what we have, even with an empty hand, is we've technically got a negate to kind of lock out the graveyard. We've got the ability to tribute this to shuffle everything back in as a worst case scenario. We still have 3 more cards in our hand to play with. Not to mention if this was Redoer, we would guarantee the Gamma. And at least by Redoer, you would have the space for the Gamma as well. You've then got the ability for IP Masquerena. This can link in with the Lambda, it can link in with the Overdragon, it can also link in with the Dweller. It could go into Nightmare Unicorn, it could go into Nightmare Phoenix, depending if you want to deal with back row or front row. It has so much versatility, but now let's show you where it goes up a level. Okay, so the first combo I'm going to show you is adding the very spicy XYZ engine, and I'll show you how that adapts. So what we're going to do is we're going to reset the board state to the point of adaptation. If you haven't missed that, then go back and watch the first combo. You'll see how we get there, and we'll go from there. Okay, so this is the board state that we're currently at. I'm just going to rewind it a little bit so you can see where we've got to. So then what you're going to do is you're going to overlay these two into the Gallant Granite. If you go in the Synchro route, this would become your King of the Feral Imps. It basically do the exact same job. They just search a free extender. So off the back of this, you're going to search out your Gigantics. Very, very easy. And then what you want to carry on doing from here is you need to get your Ruby Carbuncle back from the grave, which is very easy because you're going to link these two together and you're going to go into your Cross Sheep. At this point, you would have all of the materials ready in order to summon out your Rainbow Dragon. So you're going to summon down your Rainbow Dragon from the hand. You're going to tribute it off and go into your Overdragon, which will then trigger the Cross Sheep to bring back the Ruby Carbuncle. And by doing so, trigger the summon of both Topaz and, of course, Eagle. It is now at this point where you would overlay both of these and go into your Gargoyle Magician. You would then use the effect of Gargoyle Magician, detach your materials in order to bring back the Gallant Granite. You would obviously overlay these two. You go into your Topic Future, and then you'd go into your Topic Draco Future. Then, if you've got Appaloosa, you would link all of these into Appaloosa. Otherwise, as long as this is out of a link zone, this can become a Lambda or an IP. It doesn't really make much of a difference what you go for, as long as you are leaving a zone free, because that will then give you the ability to banish 7 materials or 7 different crystal beasts plus your Rainbow Dragon, and also summon you out your ultimate crystal beast. So as you can see, the end board pretty much stays the same. I'm going to show you the adaptation of this bit here. So that's the XYZ route. The Synchro route is, rather than going into Gallant Granite, you go into your King of the Feral Imps. Rather than searching out your Gigantics, you search out your Reptile. And then what you get to do, because you control a monster here, you get to summon this down. And then rather than turning this with a Carbuncle, the level 4, you can actually sink it into a Savage. And again, you can link up higher to go into an Appaloosa. So the end board is pretty much the same, but what you're doing is you're replacing your Topic Draco Future with a Borrowed Savage. You can add in an Appaloosa instead of a Cross Sheep. So you're just upgrading your end board overall and kind of get into just a more powerful upgrade. But it depends on if you're going to go, like, the most powerful board, you're adding another £50 on. The weakest board, you're only adding like an additional £25 on. And that is pretty much it. So I hope these have kind of been as self-explanatory as possible. If you have any questions at all, then please let me know in the comments down below. I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. But other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share. And until next time, as absolutely always, stay safe. And of course, happy dueling.